Welcome back to the River Valley Redneck. Today is February 22nd. As a lot of you may have noticed this afternoon and this morning, a lot of people were without cell phone coverage this morning. Well, I was one of them without cell phone coverage. My wife, she had cell phone coverage, I didn't. And it got me to thinking. We rely a whole lot on today's electronics and cell phones, be able to get a hold of people and contact people. And it got me to wondering what would happen to the country if all cell phone coverage was down for an extended period of time. I think for a lot of people, it'd be a big problem. And I'm not saying I'm better than most or anything like that, but I could probably handle it a lot better than a lot of people because I've got other ways that I can get a hold of people. I've got CB radios just sitting in the closet. I can pull out and set up and get going pretty quick. And if cell phone coverage goes out, more than likely you're also going to have a shortage of all kinds of things going on because there's going to be so much chaos going on. And I've got plenty of meat and stuff and all that, and I'm not real worried about it. And I'm getting myself geared up for the chickens, which I'm doing chicken coop, still working on. And I'm thinking about doing a hog and trying to find a way to do a cow, but I've got to get the wife talked into that because she wants to turn the cow into a pet, and that's just not happening. The cow's not going to be a pet, neither will the pig. And I'm also going to raise some meat chickens to where I can go ahead and butcher some chickens and have some meat in the freezer. But if you're out there and you're relying heavily on a cell phone, you need to think about what's going to happen if one day the crap hits the fan. And it could happen. It may not ever happen, but you never know. You kind of want to be prepared for it a little bit at least. And I'm trying to be more prepared for it, and I've been thinking more and more about stuff like that. About what do I do? What's it going to mean long term for me if I can't pick up a phone and call somebody? Well, I've got friends that I'm pretty sure I can find ways to get a hold of, and I don't think it'd be too hard. But you guys out there, y'all need to be thinking about stuff like that. And if it ever does hit the fan, what are you going to do for longevity? Do you have a way to source your food? I'm a big time Pepsi drinker. I love Pepsi. I drink Pepsi every single day. If the crap ever did hit the fan and I wasn't able to get my Pepsi, that would suck. But I can live off of tea. I don't like water that much, but I'll drink it. And I've got guns and ammo to where I can hunt and fish, and I can do whatever I need to do to sustain myself. I don't think that's going to be too big of an issue there. And I live close enough to wilderness that that's not going to be too much of an issue. And basically talking the wife into eating that kind of stuff that's going to be the hard part, I think. But I think we can get through it. But I'm going to give you a few tips that I think you should think about. Always have your essentials that you need on hand, toilet paper and things like that. Keep some canned goods around. I've got some canned goods just in case. I've got a bunch of tea bags because I do like tea every once in a while, so we keep tea bags around. And the meat and food wise, like I said, I've got a bunch of meat, so that's not a problem for me. But you guys need to be thinking about getting a freezer if you don't have one, deep freeze or something, and at least keeping some meat on hand, whether you buy it from the store or you go hunt it or fish and butcher it yourself, whatever. Keep that on hand. That way you've always got it. And just be sure to use it and then replenish it back once you've used it, because you don't want to leave it in the freezer too long because it will go bad even in the freezer. So just kind of think about things like that. Think about ways that you can communicate with friends and family if something ever did happen. You know, because after today, not being able to get a hold of my wife at work, now I'm not going to lie, it was kind of nice sitting there at lunch and not having to pick up the phone to call her. And it was just nice to sit on the tailgate of the truck when it was real nice, 70 degrees outside. But still, if something were to happen, I wouldn't have a way to get a hold of her. You know, the cell phone communications were down, but email and stuff was still up. But I don't have her an email set up on the computer. So tonight I'm setting up an email for her. And then she can email me while I'm at work if I have to, and I can answer the email back and forth. If she needs something or anything happens, then I'll be able to, do something. But other than that, there's no other real way of getting a hold of me while I'm at work. So my next step and my next plan will probably be to put up a CB antenna here at the house and go ahead and just set me up a little CB radio over here in my computer room. Once I get the CB setup going, I'll put one in the truck. And that way, if the communications are down and I need to get a hold of her or she needs to get a hold of me, we'll have a CB radio that we can get a hold of each other on. That's another thing to think about is communications. So, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've added a few more deer antlers back here that I've killed. I'm slowly but surely getting this room cleaned up, set up the way I want it. I'd like to put some paneling or something up in the background. I don't like the paneling that's on it right now, so I'm probably going to change that out eventually. Probably just get some wood paneling or something put back there. But every one of these deer, except for this big guy right here, every one of those were killed at the place I normally hunt at, and this big guy was killed on a special hunt further north. And a buddy of mine, Mike's Arkansas Outdoors, we went up there on this special muzzleloader hunt, and I killed him up there, and that was a lot of fun. I really enjoy hunting and fishing with him and hanging out with him. I got my deer cup. I made that cup with my Cricut machine that I got. I've made a few cups here and there, but not a lot. But this warmer weather that we've got apparently is bringing in all these Asian beetle, ladybug looking things. They come in a couple times a year, and I think this warm weather's got them messed up. They're here at the wrong time. But boy, them things are annoying. I'd really love to find a way to kill them all. We didn't used to have this problem when I was growing up, and all of a sudden we do, and I just don't know why. But this kind of unusually warm weather for February, and they're talking about possible storms and tornadoes Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. That ought to be fun. I guess I better fire up my generator just in case, make sure it's ready to go. That's another thing about being prepared, is try to make sure you got a power source in case the power does go out. If it goes out for a couple hours, it starts to suck, not being able to do anything at all. So I always try to keep my generator on hand and ready to go. Something ever does happen, I can fire it up in a moment's notice, and I can have power back, and I'm back good again. So I'll put together some more tips for being more prepared, and I just wanted to get on here and talk about that outage today on the AT&T cell phone situation. The FBI and the Homeland Security are apparently investigating it and making sure it wasn't a cyber attack, which I kind of wonder about that myself, because from what I heard was they had outages on AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Straight Talk, Cricket. Pretty much all of the major networks had some sort of an outage or another, but AT&T was really affected the most. And I'm running a Straight Talk phone, but I'm using the AT&T phone to do it with Bring Your Own Phone plan, because where I hunt at, Verizon signal is horrible. So I got AT&T. But I'll be curious to find out what they say and see what they claim it was, but I have my hunches on what I think it is. And I'm thinking that we might want to start getting a little more prepared than what we are nowadays, because our ancestors, they'd be kicking us in the tails right now, because they lived off the land. They didn't need a cell phone. They didn't need all this fancy computer stuff to survive. I sat there at work today listening to a couple of guys talking, saying they don't know what they're going to do if the cell phone coverage doesn't come back on by the time they get off work, because they'd be completely lost. Like, guys, it's just a cell phone. You're not going to die. Well, they actually felt like they might die because they weren't sure what they were going to do. I mean, really? It's a cell phone. I understand you want to be able to get a hold of people, people to do things, but you don't need a cell phone. They're nice, they're convenient, they're handy. We don't need them. I love having mine, but I don't need it. After a day or two of not having one, I could probably adjust pretty darn good. So just might want to think about these things, and I'm going to go ahead and get off of here and call it a night. So y'all have a good one. Y'all take care, and I'll see you on the next video.